went through some adapt chamber, and they done went through some adapt chamber and XYZ and blah, blah, blah. And I say, I hear you. But if you went through some adapt chamber, if you say you're more and you trying to save your people, nothing is secret. It's sacred. And if you're an educator, nothing is new under the sun. We synchronize the holy books, all historical books, all history books, all law books. That's an adept. An adept has a particular set of skills, just like aptitude, right? Right? Just like savant. So when we talk about the triple role of the adapt chamber, and it's 3 religious rites that we should understand the essence of, so we don't lose the essence of any of them. So in a triple role of the adapt chamber, you have 3 rites or 3 religious orders per se. And when you start synchronizing things, they're all based on the same thing, monotheism. God and man is one. We must be clear with that. The reason why we're confused because we've been taught the wrong way. And things come from things. Forget Christianity, forget Islam. The oldest, you can go to Zoroastrianism. When we talk about connecting things, you just got to understand the linguistics and the wordplay and how things were called different names depending on the time period of history or dispensation. When we're coming from a scholastical aspect, when we talk about words and how things are being changed and linguistics and etymology and transliteration and mistranslation, we have to know these things because we don't operate on ego. So the triple of the adapt chamber, the Fatimid order, the Fatimid order. Do anybody know about the Fatimid order? See, the Fatimid order, or where it comes from, the Fatimids is a member of a dynasty which ruled in parts of North Africa, Egypt, and Syria in the time periods of 909 and 1171. Founded Cairo as its capital in 969. So then you got the Paraclete, or the Paraclete, the Paraclete. So you got to understand in Christian theology, the Holy Spirit as the advocate or the counselor. The Holy Spirit as the advocate of the counselor. John 14 and 16 and John 26. And then you got the order of Jerusalem. But when I tell you, Morris, when I be saying things that the copied you, you got to start tracing the history and see how you were copied. And everything that was made inside, which is the esoteric, they took it as outside. And they drew up the breadcrumbs. And then you got the order of Jerusalem. Then you got the order of Jerusalem, order of the Holy Sepulchre, or the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre, or the Roman Catholic order of the knighthoods under the protection of the Holy See, or the so-called Pope. But you gotta understand who those people really were. And when I start showing you things, when people be telling you the Council of Nicaea, and they only be showing you one perspective, the European perspective, and then when I show you all our so-called black popes that was there, that was telling you like, no, you ain't finna throw that back in my face, but they only gonna tell you their story. And I guarantee you, it's a whole nother story. And if the pen doesn't match the Carmen Dayton, you don't change the Carmen Dayton. You should know that the pen was changed. This is history. It synchronizes. So in the triple role of the adapt chamber, when Moors we talk about they done went through some adapt chamber or somebody hand select them, and then I say, okay, somebody hand select you, and I talk to your so-called sheik or some ex-sheik, they don't know nothing. So what adapt chamber you went through? Not zilch. And that's why it be secret to them goofballs, but it ain't nothing secret to me. It's sacred because I got the keys and I got the literature and I perfected myself. That's the first thing, perfecting yourself. Death of the ego, death of the lower self. If you ain't mastered that, man, everything else is void because you're operating on your own understanding. Only 360 degree of wisdom. This 720, this ancient Memphis and Mizraim. If you don't understand that, that's why you need to learn and stop thinking everything is about someone else. Moors do that all day, talk about the teachings, and they say you don't even understand the Gnostic teachings. The Gnostic teachings is the higher science, is the SO and the XR. You confused because you're not in a higher level. It's a higher level of science. And if a Moor don't understand that, you confused. So in the triple role of the adapt chamber, when I say I don't get caught to any religious rite to where I miss the essence of all, because the more science, God and man is one. So you got the Fatimid order, the order of Jerusalem, and the Paraclete order. I hope y'all know that. That's just introduction. I'm not going to get all in deep into it because it ain't for that. I ain't finna get deep into something with people that ain't a student. So this how you can check. This how you can check these Moors when they be talking about some adapt chamber and somebody sent them through some adapt chamber. I say they lying, they a sin. If they got a black fez on, you should be able to ask some things. And if they can't display it, well, they act like some European Mason, and it's a secret, and they don't know nothing. And so the secret is you. So if they want to hold the secret of them teaching you exactly who you are and bring you out of shallow grave, they doing the same thing that the enemy and that oppressor did, lying to you, keeping you in a shallow grave. And I'm bringing you out of that. Nationality and spirituality. That make you a complete fifth. So when more we talking about the adapt chamber and the Islamic precepts, don't nothing change. You got to know this. So this is what I ask these so-called Moors that's calling themselves sheiks. And then a lot of my brothers that's on my page, y'all following these pages because I'm on your page. I'm seeing who you following and I'm laughing. You think this is a joke and you think this is a joke with me. But when I cut you off completely, we'll see. We gonna see. Because I be looking at everybody's page and I see what you following. That's why you confused. You confused. That's like you in a relationship and you know, and you looking outside the relationship for what's inside. Messed up. So the Adapt and the Sheik study guide. What are the first lessons to be learned in the Adapt chamber? What are the first lessons to be learned in the Adapt chamber? Anybody know? Especially these Moors that be following these Moors talk about they done went through some adapt chamber and they some adapt and they some adapt. So if they telling you they adapt, what are the first lessons to be learned in the adapt chamber? If you don't know, say you don't know. Just don't be guessing. If you don't know, say you don't know. Because most of these Moors that talk about they went through it, they don't know. They don't know. People just be making stuff up. That's how you hear more talking about they some adapt and some scholar. They don't know nothing. So I'll wait. If you know, say it. If you don't know, say you don't know if we can proceed. If you don't know, say you don't know if we can proceed. Good, Empress, I'm glad. But then I be dealing with these Moors, dealing with their ego. They just be saying stuff, saying stuff. I'm like, see, man, you ain't study. You guessing. Stop guessing. This is the study. You ain't study nothing. You going to keep guessing like you going to guess and get it right. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. It ain't gonna happen. That's why no Moors be afraid to wear they fez. The first thing, the lesson to be learned in the Adapt chamber is learning to control our physical desires of hate, slander, lewdness, murder, and theft. That's the first one. Those are the first lessons to be learned in the Adapt chamber. Learning to control our physical desires of hate, slander, lewdness, murder, and theft. That's the first thing you should learn in the Adapt chamber. So the next thing I'll be asking these Moors when they say this elementary science, define Adapt chamber. Can anybody define Adapt chamber? Can anybody define Adapt chamber? Because these are things you should know. The European know this, the European Mason, the Scottish Rite Mason, they know all this way more than you. That's why they sons of Muslims. That's why they studied you to a T. And when they see you coming with that fez on, they be laughing because they know you don't know nothing. Because you ain't operating right. So define the Adapt chamber. This is what the Adapt chamber means. The Adapt chamber means a very proficient person, skilled. Chamber means edifice, a place of worship. Adapt chamber means a very proficient person, skilled. Just like when I say aptitude, or just like when I say savant, reach these words up. Words are spells. You just can't give yourself something, and then when somebody check your chicness, or when somebody check your aptitude, or when somebody check your savantness, you have none. You have none. How does a Muslim become an adept? How does a Muslim become an adept? Watch this. And then these goofy ass Moors act like they got something. I say, you don't have nothing. You lying to the people. You lying. You don't even have the teachings. I know you don't have the teachings, because if you had the teachings, you would be speaking just like me, and you would be willing to share it with the people once you create a school. Not just freely. You create the school so we can learn systematically, so we can teach. How does a Muslim become an adept? Do anybody know? Watch this. When I say the teaching is so simple, the teachings will work. How does a Muslim become an adept? Do anybody know? How does a Muslim become an adept? Y'all better come on. Because when the time comes, I'm cutting off and I'm leaving. Because I got to be somewhere. I teach people, man. I'm about to go teach a whole class of 100 people, non-Moors. And wait till I show you the donations that they give. How does a Muslim become an adept? Do anybody know? Because see, these Moors be thinking only adept is Moors. You wrong. You got all type of adapts. When I keep telling y'all, Moors ain't been out of the damn hood when they talk about adapt. It's all type of adapts. I'm a Moorish American adept. By being a diligent student of the Islamic precepts. That's how you become an adept. By being a diligent student of the Islamic precepts. What title do Moorish Americans know as adapts? Watch this. Listen clear, because I hope you understand what I'm getting ready to say. What title do Moorish Americans know as adapts? What title do Moorish Americans know as adapts? Sheikh and Sheikhs. But you got to remember, all adapts are not sheikhs or sheikhs. Did you catch what I just said? If you catch what I just said, say Islam, Shalom Aleichem, Ayah Asa Ayah, peace be with you, Hotep. Say something if you understand what I just said. If you understand what I just said, say I understand. If you didn't understand the words that I just said, you need to have me repeat it. Did you understand what I just said? Yes or no? Did you understand what I just said? I hope you. So you can check anybody. So you can check anybody that talk that they some sheik or some sheikhs. Yeah, in our set, we know that adapts in more science are sheiks and sheikhs. But just because you some sheik or some sheikhs don't mean you know adapt, and vice versa. And vice versa. Let me say this again to you, brother. I'm glad you said no. This is why I said we can learn. Don't say Islam and you haven't got it. So let me read this over to you, Noble. What title do Moorish Americans, because remember, you got to be specific. What title do Moorish Americans know as adept? So adept is the science, a higher science. But in as Moorish Americans, what do we know adepts as? They should be sheiks and sheikhs in the Moorish science if you're an adept. But we know people giving themselves titles of adept and sheikh without no study. But you got to remember that all adepts are not sheiks or sheikhs. So what am I saying? All adepts are not Moorish American per se. Are you following the science, what I'm telling you? So what are other names? Follow this. Initiate, student, student adept, adept, master, sage, master sage, prophet, Allah. So do you think you got to be a Moorish American to be an adept? Absolutely not. Because I tell Moors, you ain't traveled nowhere. I know people that's adepts. They know the science. They teach the science, and they heart is right. They master their higher self. Y'all ain't listening. You steady acting like some damn racist person. These are the 7 degrees of ancient Egyptian mystery systems. The 7 represents the totality of divine creation. The ancient ones of the 7 degrees of ancient Egyptian mystery systems. Right? The curriculum for their 7 degrees from the complete circle of creation. There were 7 days in the circle, which totals everything made each day, marked the completion of the ethereal life forms. From its alpha to omega, there are only 7 days in a year: Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 7 creative spirits with their 7 ethereal planes. 7 infinite thoughts of Allah, which created everything that ever was, is, or evermore to be. And the ancient Hebrews call these thoughts Elohim. And the adepts call the 7 eyes of Allah. Man calls these ether planes the planes of protoplasm, earth, plant, beast, man, angel, cherubim. These are 7 chakras sealed within the human body. And these chakras are fixed from the base of the spinal upright through the heart of the mind. Yeshua said man couldn't resurrect until the fixed is solved. And the ancient Siddha, the gurus, call these the astrology or astrology of light. Each must be lightened with wisdom. So the 7 degrees of ancient Egyptian mystery systems, right? The 7 sounds on the master scale. All the audibles heard by the ears of man are the what? Summation of these sounds. He said, that's where I discovered the Zoroastrian. This is where I teach it, man. I tell you, this stuff comes. Man, I heard him more talking about, oh man, our prophet crazy. He practiced Zoroastrianism. I said, Noble, I shook his hand, I got up, and everybody, all the elder was like, you just don't know what you said, Noble. He was like, and then they was asking the Noble, and they was calling me like he didn't study, he didn't learn. I said, well, how can he be a sheik? How can he be a grand sheik? How can he be adept? And you dissing Zoroastrianism, you dissing the science, you're not historical. Because if you're historicalist, you'll go back before Christianity and before so-called Al-Islam, you had Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrianism is just what it is. The 7 colors in the spectrum. And these constitute everything seen by the human eyes. And without these colors, the human sentinels are what? Useless. And the 7 senses for the conscious man. 5 below our eyebrows are what? Sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. And 2 above our eyebrows are what? Intuition and telepathy. 7 degrees in the Adept chamber of the Moorish Science Temple of America in the 3rd heaven. Degrees of high consciousness. In our Prophet Noble Drew Ali's 3rd heaven are identical. Listen to me. Identical to the ancient Egyptian mystery systems developed by the first African gods to be formed in the flesh. And this origin is held by the old Hebrews of the story of Adam and Eve. Noble Drew Ali and myself, we brought these degrees of God attainment in the missing 18 years of Yahshua's life, omitted from the Bible. It tells you right in front of our Quran why these teachings were suppressed. The lessons are found in our works, the teachings of Yahshua. It's in our scriptures. It's in our Moorish Quran. 1st degree is sincerity. It's all in your Moorish Quran. 2nd degree, justice. 3rd degree, faith. 4th degree, philanthropy. 5th degree, heroism. 6th degree, love divine. 7th degree, ministry of the dead, divine ministry. So who's gonna take you to some Adept chamber and they ain't even went through it themselves? And then we have the prophethood. All things created and governed by Allah, the One, derived by the 3, wisdom, will, and love, directed by what? The holy breath of the 5 principles of what? Action, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And they all rest upon what? The 7. When man is fully conscious of himself, then he and his creator are one. The definition of man, no, brings us from 1 through the what? 3, the 5, the 7, to the 9. The 9 is the re-entry Moors. 9 is the truant, times 3. According to ancient science, the 9 is the symbolic of the re-entry. 9 is the conscious rebirth of the God-man. So when the God-man or the God-woman of truth attains unto himself or herself, and Allah becomes one, or becomes the all, I've been through the fire, man. I don't have no motive. That's why I tell people, the only person that ain't gonna rock what I'm saying is a person that's not learned. It's a person that their limit, that somebody gave you something that stopped your learning. This is Adept wisdom, man. I done been through the fire. I have a whole library of holy books and ancient manuscripts. I'm not here to lie to you. I'm here to prove the facts. All this science comes from me, come from us. That's why I wear all our signs and symbols. That's why all our symbols is ours. All our symbols is ours, man. And if you're not studying more science under scholarship, then you playing. You just operating on religious dogma and hate and what somebody telling you. They can't give you no holy books. They can't break down language because they don't know. They can't synchronize nothing. They're going around talking about the Hebrew, the more they all different people. I'm like, you a damn lie. You a lie and a sin. You a lie and a sin. The 9 is the last whole number before new life, everlasting. 9 is man leaving the perpetual realms of why to enter his natural state, divine, infinity. This numerically marks man's what? Final use for the illusions of time, space, and calculations. And the 9 being truant times 3 is furthermore illustrated by the 3 stages, the X's, 3 degrees of the perfection of man, the adept, deification of man. So when we talk about Allah equals wisdom plus will plus love. A prophet equals what? Initiation plus illumination plus perfection. And man equals belief plus faith plus fruition. I'm done. I'm done. I told you everything don't have to be long. Everything don't have to be long with teaching. But the teaching must be right on time and matter factual. See? I'm done. Put all my tools in put all my stuff in my bag. I got an extra book I'm going to be sending out to my Moors probably in the second or third week of class. I got an extra book I'm going to be sending out. And it break down a lot of science in this book, man, that I break down for y'all, that they hide from y'all. I'm going to give y'all all holy books. I'm going to give y'all all holy books of Moorish science. I got a collection of every book. I got some old manuscripts. Moors not going to give you this because they don't want you to be sure. I want you to be sure. I'm going to talk about the science of thoughts, to know yourself, everything. And a lot of people don't have these because they don't want y'all to have them. I got all literature with our prophet. I got everything with our prophet. I got a whole library with all Moorish science in there from writing from our prophet. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it's a lot of books that other people wrote about our prophet, even Europeans, from Peter Lambert Wilson to, I'll show y'all this other book I got in here. I think I got it with me. From Peter Moon to Sacred Drift by Peter Lambert Wilson. I print these on my printing press. I have these on my printing press. I print these all day. Moors be talking about, ooh, I want to get that book. I have them. Golden Age of the Moors, I have them. I printed them. Go on Amazon and see how much these books cost, if they still available. They probably not even available no more. Go on Amazon and see how much Golden Age of the Moors cost by Ivan Van Sertima. I print them on my printing press. Everybody, all my people got these. Everybody got these because I print them on my printing press. I got every holy book that about our prophet. Everyone. Everyone. Just like Peter Moon, when he wrote about our prophet, I got all Peter Moon books. I met Peter Moon. Peter Moon, when he talked about the Montauk theory, and Peter Moon talk about our Spandu mysteries, all talk about our prophet Noble Drew Ali. Y'all ain't know that? Y'all didn't know that? I know it ain't. That's what I be saying. I know. When I be telling people, they be like, oh, I can go. I said, no, you can't. Man, look. Look, I told y'all, I don't talk about everything that I connected. I have a bookstore in California, me and my people. We print books. It's a whole bunch of books you can't get that I have in my library, and I be laughing. And I be like, man, y'all Moors do not know what's going on. A person getting you caught up in being prejudiced and not understanding the real work what our prophet did with nationality and spirituality, being lost with it.